Hello, welcome to Drivers of Disruption, a show covering the latest advancements in the future mobility, current challenges, and potential solutions moving forward. I'm Matthias Garibaldi, and today's episode is autonomous vehicles, their software, and open source applications. Our first guest is Shinpei Kato, CEO of Tier 4. Tier 4 is a startup in Japan that offers a full stack solution for autonomous vehicle software based on their developed AutoAware. AutoAware is the world's first open source software for autonomous driving. They have two additional products. One is Pilot.auto, which is a scalable platform with the basic functionality and capability of autonomous driving systems, where developers can create complete systems based on their reference design. Their Web.auto is a cloud native DevOps platform with software tools and data pipelines to help developers save development costs and time to market. Welcome, Kato-san.
Hi, thanks for the invitation.
Our second guest is Takuto Ueha, a McKinsey partner and automotive sector lead. He's focused on a wide range of topics from product development and procurement, as well as building new businesses within incumbents. Welcome, Takuto.
Hey, thanks, and nice to see you, Kato-san.
Yeah, we're excited to discuss the future of autonomous vehicles today.
Yeah, yeah. So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. So McKinsey recently published an article on this topic, and one of the insights is that 2023 was actually a very interesting tipping point for autonomous vehicle infrastructure. There has been good and bad developments over the last year. Some leading players were able to successfully run and scale first commercial operations and increase their funding, while others saw significant setbacks, stopped or reduced their operations or even exited the market entirely. So, Takuta, I would like to go more into this. What are some of the takeaways from that research that we published?
Yeah, certainly. I'll kick off with what we found in our recent survey. So we conduct these, surveys to executives of incumbents and disruptors, in periodical pace. I think, as you mentioned, Matthias, we found some pretty interesting insights and changes that's obvious from the previous survey, which was issued in 2021. One of the things we saw very clearly is the development for the autonomous vehicle development is clearly extending. On average, the executives who responded to this responded that there's an average of 2 years extension in terms of how the autonomous driving space is evolving. This hasn't changed much, but the regulation, technology, and consumer safety are the top three key bottlenecks that executives have in mind. And I'd love to hear, Kato-san's perspective on this later. But in specific to technologies, our respondents often see, prediction and decision making and perception software are the most critical tech elements for this space. And just one more, last big trend we saw was this regional perspective. So in 2021, majority of the respondents thought North America would be the leading region in this space. Specifically speaking, the question was, how fast would L4 Highway Pilot come on? And this time in 2023, actually the respondents were split between China and US. So there was a clear, speed acceleration in the China region is how we're seeing the market, as well as our clients.
That's really helpful talk. I think one of the interesting things as well is, the majority of the respondents were based from EU and the US. So I'm very interested, Kato-san, to hear your view of this world, right? So what do you think has happened over the last 2 years? Why are we seeing this? And where are we going from a global standpoint? So I guess we can start from a couple of points that Tak had mentioned, like timeline to autonomy. So the fact that now, industry leaders are believing that it's extending by 2 years. What are your thoughts on that? What's the reason behind that, Kato-san?
Yeah, sure. So let me, look back into how, this autonomous driving technology, has started. So, because kind of today's kind of structure of kind of players or kind of regional strategies pretty much based on how this technology started. So the autonomous driving has a long story and history, but long story short, can it started in the U.S. Um, often called DARPA challenge, which is kind of university competition, and this project has spin out to the Google, and they made a kind of big announcement that hey, we made autonomous driving test from California to Nevada, um, which was around 10 or to 20 10 or 11 as far as I remember. Now people kind of started looking into okay, this technology has potential to be the business, and a lot of tests um, and pilot projects, or I would say products, have emerged in the last decade, and most of that project or products focus on a specific operational design domain, um, which is kind of limited area, limited condition, limited vehicles, and limited customers. But within these conditions, the quality of autonomous driving has been increasingly improved. Now you see in San Francisco or Shenzhen, some almost production quality um, autonomous vehicles like a taxi and buses. On the other hand, um, today they're still struggling um, to expand the regions of interest. Say, even Google Waymo has San Francisco, Phoenix, and now Los Angeles. But there are three um, kind of limited areas of interest. What Tier 4 is doing is to um, provide the scalability of um, this problem using open source. So once you deploy autonomous vehicles in some area, what TF4 wants to do is to make it easy to be expanded to other regions. This needs open access or transparent interoperability in technology, so that not only tier 4 or limited technology suppliers, but also as many players as possible to be able to access this technology. Then I expect to see an ecosystem becoming more matured to be kind of worldwide, um, and eventually you can see more and more players provide a variety of services, um, not limited to specific vehicles, specific regions. Um,
And
that
Kato-san, oh, sorry,
Sure.
go ahead. Kato-san, I have a question there. You
Sure.
were you were mentioning, Waymo and so Phoenix, California, and in other areas. So are you saying that the reason for the slower um, pace or the scaling problem is understanding other ODDs in other locations? So by ODDs, in simple terms, it means the use case of how that vehicle is operating in a certain location.
Yeah, 50% yes. From technology prospect, um, yes, I think even Google Waymo still has some challenge for their, you know, underlying technology to be more scalable. But my um, primary, concern or primary challenge is fundamentally due to the fact that no other players can access the technology. So
Mm,
only one single company
yeah,
is now able to access this technology, but this fundamentally prevent an ecosystem from being scalable.
yeah,
So the reason why we are interested in open source is to overcome this circumstance that people cannot access uh, technology. So if more and more players are able to access the technology, then we can see more and more services all over the world. That's my main challenge with the O2R or Tier 4.
I see. Um, do you see a different appetite for this open source idea between different regions? For example, like North America, Europe, China? Or is the challenge pretty consistent in that each company wants to not disclose?
Um, yeah, today, because autonomous driving has kind of huge kind of expectation in kind business criteria. So the market size of um, autonomous driving potentially is pretty, big.
Big.
So most of the companies who are developing uh, base technology, uh, yeah, tend likely to, um, take closed solutions.
Hmm.
But I see that the situation is changing now because people now start understanding that the autonomous driving is feasible thanks to Google Waymo. They demonstrated um, the difference of autonomous driving, at least the environments such as San Francisco, Phoenix, which is not simple, like, which is quite complicated environment, but still today's technology is feasible to be deployed in real services. This is a really good difference. So
Hmm.
now it's time for other players to jump into this market, and open source can actually facilitate this momentum.
So if I play back what you said, you know, it feels like a lot of the technology leaders have proved that it can be done, or that the technology is developing, the technology is growing. Now open source provides an opportunity for others to catch up. What are some of the other roadblocks outside of technology that you see in different regions?
Just so as not to mislead, so technology still has challenges. The example includes teleoperation. But other than technologies, yeah, you need to yeah, so many things. But so, for example, road making um, needs to be aligned with the local authorities or the government, and this expands to more high level issues such as ETHIC, right? Ethical, legal, and social issues. These you know high level issues, underlying technology issues need to be addressed with the stakeholders. And this is really challenge because each company or each stakeholder has their own agenda. So somebody needs to take the leadership to address the trade-off across the stakeholders. And in Japan, the government is really strong in the sense that they provide uh, pretty solid guideline, but which is quite flexible. So almost all stakeholders in Japan, including automotive makers or startups, are now cooperating with each other to address the LC. So now each kind of city or each uh, village, town in Japan start accepting this technology. So I think other countries would have similar issues. In order to accept new technologies, I think you need to address ethical, legal, and social issues at the same time with many stakeholders.
So you have obviously seen this for many years. Are you optimistic in that, you raised Japan as an example? Um, this regulatory, ethical issue has been discussed for a decade. Is it? Do you see a sign of acceleration in a positive way, or it's stalling?
Yeah, Japan is moving ahead. I think I, would dare to say that Japan could be a good reference in regulatory because
Hmm.
we have taken the right steps in the white box schemes.
Hmm.
Everything is transparent. Um, Still, there are challenges, of course, but we never step forward without the black box schemes. And of course, this is really complex, time-consuming, undertake. But the reason why Japan is now moving forward is that stakeholders have, some consensus uh, in LC, like so ethical, legal, social issues. There are no kind of clear answers, but the stakeholders have consensus, so we can move forward.
Hmm.
Understood. And diving deeper into open source, so how does Tier 4 foster collaboration within the open source community? So I'm curious, who is this open source community? And then how do you ensure that the contributions are aligning with your project goals? Or is that basically, a product of the open market? People are going to be working on the things that are most important and they, in general, align with what Tier 4 would be interested in. But how does that work?
To be honest, I don't have clear answers how we can foster
Hmm.
open source communities. But as far as what we have experienced in um, the last decade, so the first, how to say, the first um, approach that I believe which led to a small success of early days of authware is that um, authware used to be maintained by Tier 4, but we um, transfer the ownership of this um, maintenance to non-profit organization. So we handed over the whole ownership from Tier 4 to non-profit organization, which is called Otware Foundation. So this probably opens up opportunities for other companies to feel like
Hmm.
joining this community because they don't want to belong to kind of single company, right? If Autoware is maintained by Tier 4 and joining this community really means that they belong to the project of Tier 4, which is not sound, in my opinion, because the spirit of open source is, it's across the countries, it's across the politics, so it should be non-profit. So the reason why Outware has can accelerated is due to the fact that Tier 4 transferred the ownership of software project to non-profit organizations so that some credibility or reliability or trustworthy of the project has improved. So more companies easily kind of join community.
That's very, very helpful. How do you think about safety and quality assurance under such mechanism?
Right. So as I aforementioned, so the safety issues or quality issues highly depend on the business model of um, the users. So open source is just a way to go to the halfway of climbing mountain, for example, right?
Hmm.
So open source is the way you can actually start climbing, but the way you actually climb the mountain should be determined by your company. So um, Tier 4 is also positioned in um, this way, right? So Tier 4 provide multi solutions, some of which include the safety mechanisms if needed from customer's perspective. But if the customer can just do the safety assurance by themselves, then they can just directly access the open source and they don't really need Tier 4's assistance. But all in all, in either way, so kind of safety issues or quality issues or any end user issues should be addressed by um, each company. And open source is, you can imagine it's just a big lake. So
I
there are
see.
many opportunities in open source, but the ultimate responsibility in delivering the product to the customers is actually the company's challenge, not open source community.
I see. Thank you.
Understood. And this is a question for both Kato-san and Tak. Kato-san, we'll start with you. So how is Tier 4, or as well as the open source autonomous driving software, influencing or having an impact on these traditional automotive manufacturers' approach to product development and software? So um, I know there's recent news of Tier 4 and Isuzu. So I would love to just understand, what you've seen the traditional automakers do with this technology.
Yeah, that's a good question and really fundamental in a sense that the market is still, if not dominated, but it's majority of the market it comprises of automakers, right?
Hmm.
And but I want to be kind of sensitive um, with regard to this question because automotive market is matured. It's already structured. So it shouldn't be um, jeopardized by introducing new ideas because this is really solid structure. So we should leverage this, kind of existing scheme. So open source is what they can uh, take in order to say improve incrementally the existing structure. So um, some automakers may not even need open source at all if they can provide the solutions for the customers by themselves. But I believe that in this market, there are more than 200 auto brands, so automakers brands, and I would say maybe 10 of them um, could deliver solid autonomous driving solutions by themselves. The rest of uh, automakers brands probably um, you know, need to can access other technologies. So open source may be um, a big opportunity for them because they don't have to build new technologies from scratch. They can reference open source um, software, and if needed, they can contact the tech players in the open source community, such as TF4, so that we can work together to build a new solutions. But once again, I want to be sensitive because this scheme could kind of jeopardize the existing structure of automotive market. So what TF4 wants to do is to improve or enhance or complement the existing structure, and we can build our own, industry, which is next to the existing automotive market that can back to back. So, for example, level for autonomous driving or kind of mobility services could be a different structure, um, which is kind of constructed from scratch. But what I want to say is the existing automotive market needs to be, um, you know, kept solid. Um, but still, we can enhance, improve, or complement using open source. So that's my ideas and TFO's vision. The art of open source can kind of reimagine the whole kind of intelligent vehicles market, but it doesn't really mean that we change the existing automotive market.
First of all, I really liked your analogy of to climb the mountain, right? The open source is not the solution to climb all the way, and it's the enabler and it's the foundation to make the first step. You know? Also, really appreciate your humbleness and recognition for the existing solid maturity of the automotive industry, which I think is very important to call out. I do think that the some automotives, as you mentioned, have already begun some of their own attempt. Leading OEMs are doing open source within their manufacturing plants. Um, and while I agree with you that maybe they can do it independently if they are top 10, however, I think there's a huge value unlock if the leading OEMs also realize the benefit of the open source vision that you're talking about. And I say this because the leading OEMs are still working within very closed scope and vision when they make their own attempt individually. And they are struggling as well, as you know. I think there's probably unlock potentials in being more open and being humble by these leading OEMs on the thinking around, okay, what is the foundation that we can leverage? You use the lake analogy, which is excellent, to further accelerate their individual initiatives, because speed is also a critical problem that all the OEMs are struggling with. With the idea of exponentially expanding their data source, they can potentially accelerate their individual initiatives much faster, and it's something to think about. I would love you to go see some of the clients that we discuss to influence them in that way as well.
That's interesting. I think the open source reminds me of a saying. They say, like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. right? So it feels like if we want to go further in the development of autonomous vehicle to go together and allow people to catch up. Um, Given that it feels like autonomous vehicle technology, if there's an issue with one company, it's almost an issue with everyone, right? And everyone's perception with autonomous vehicles. So it's very important for everyone to be doing well. So I think that really um, helps the point of more collaboration across companies. So it's very insightful.
Yeah, I also like the philosophy that if you go, alone, then you can go faster. But if you want to go far, then
Yeah,
yeah, you may want to go together. Yeah, I also
exactly.
like this philosophy.
Yeah, because you can go fast, but not for too long.
Yep.
So you need to go together.
Yeah.
Um, Kato-san, question for you is: we talked about the last 2 years. You shared the history of autonomous vehicle development. Where do you see the future of autonomous driving technology going in the next 5 years?
Yeah, that's kind of exciting, view. So in general, um, autonomous driving. So today has two kind of streamlines. So one is level for kind of commercial vehicles like
Hmm.
robotaxis, and the other streamline is kind of software-defined vehicle, mainly designed for passenger vehicles. It's a privately owned cars. So in the next 5 years or 10 years, I believe that these kind of two streamlines, go to merge, and um, you will see kind of truly intelligent vehicles, which could be passenger cars or commercial vehicles. And if users kind of request level 4, then yeah, it can be a level 4. But for those who want to enjoy driving, then they can leverage this technology to just assist their driving. So this is what I kind of hope to see or expect to see in the next 5 years, 10 years in general. And um, my kind of personal or kind of company's agenda is that we want to enable more and more new companies to uh, join this market. And if today well, some company doesn't have kind of sufficient standard of technology to manufacture the vehicles, but if they leverage open source software or open kind of data set, then why not just you become new car maker like what Tesla has done before? So Tesla is kind of I like Tesla's kind of uh, mindset that they challenge new mass production of um, cars.
Hmm.
Uh, so likewise, TFO wants to challenge kind of new mass production of car makers. This will lead to more kind of scalable and health automotive or mobility market. So yeah, I want to make some paradigm shift that today they may um, focus on mass production of cars, but I want to make mass production of car makers.
Very
Very
interesting.
interesting.
Tak, what do you think?
I had not so much idea about the real benefit of open source and struggled to understand a little bit what you were trying to achieve. But today's conversation was very helpful in better understanding, and I'm more convinced that yes, there's a value for not just uh, new challengers, but for the incumbent OEMs as well to consider um, partaking in this approach of open source.
And Kato-san, we spoke about the 5, 10 year vision. What's next for tier 4? So what goals do you have, for the end of the year or the next 12 months that you are looking forward to or excited about?
Right. So for short term, we want to demonstrate um, the concept of what we're doing based on open source. So, for example, we like to demonstrate kind of production quality level for autonomous vehicles actually feasible and available to the real customers. So, in next 12 months, kind of we promise that we deliver a real level for certified production quality vehicles and services so that these demonstrations could be a baseline for tier 4 to provide multi-class solutions. So using this experience, we can sell the whole service if needed. Um, but our architecture also enable us to provide components of um, this service and even kind of educational or development platform that we're using, and we can open up um, for other partners, players, so that they can do the same thing as what Tier 4 is doing. So next 12 months, we want to demonstrate the concept of the company, and in part, actually, we can start the real services.
Very helpful. Thank you, Kato-san. And as we wrap up, question for both. I'll go to talk first, but then same question to you, Kato-san. Are What are your closing thoughts, or advice you would have for players looking to enter or already involved in autonomous vehicle space? Talk. Feel free to go first.
Yes, I think having a long-term vision of how your company as in the players who's considering to join this, um, have a long-term vision of how your business model is going to work, but don't get constrained with short-term immediate return, because I think too many companies I observe seek for, and it's a challenge because they have investor pressure, they have the market pressure, but both large and small companies tend to make hasty decision, and it leads back to that if you want to go far, you got to team up mentality. So don't get bogged with the too short term return is my uh, take and advice to the players considering in this field.
Thanks, Talk. How about you, Kato-san?
Yeah, I do. 3 words: just use hardware.
That's good. That's hopeful. Perfect. So I think that will wrap us up. Kato-san, thank you so much. Very excited and looking forward to the next 12 months for Tier 4. We're excited to read more and see that demonstration. And Tak, thank you so much for your time as well.
Thank you,
Really
Kato-san.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Matthias.
Thank you.